Broadcasting from the ARN Racing Studios in Southern California, a turn for media company, ARN Los Angeles. This is ARN, the American Racing Network, the Motorsports Authority. Now,
drivers, start your engine!
You're shifting gears on ARN with Alan Bailey.
Well, there goes the neighborhood.
You name it, we got it. NASCAR.
He's going to do it. He's going to win the race and the NASCAR Sprint Cup Championship. California's Kevin Harvick does it.
IndyCar.
Will Power is an IndyCar champion.
Thank you so much.
Drag racing.
Jason line red lights and gives it away. Erica Ender Stevens becomes the 17th champion in the history of funny car with a hammer down throw run.
Supercross.
Ken rocks it. To the finish line. He wins the season opener here at Angel Stadium.
And so much more. So get ready. You're shifting gears on ARN with Alan Bailey.
Shifting gears number 225 on Thursday, August 13, 2015. Welcome on in, Gearheads. I want you in on this conversation. The phone number, 720-600-RACE. That is 720-600-7223. Standard messaging and data rates do apply on that. Also, at The Alan Bailey on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Also, the hashtag ARNRace to get in on this conversation. Big show, actually. A lot of stuff going on in the world of motorsports. NASCAR wrapping up at the Glen. You have IndyCar getting ready for their final two races. Pocono next Sunday, not this coming Sunday. NASCAR's in Michigan this weekend. It's a big, a lot going on right now, to say the very least. And in about a couple weeks here, we'll have an IndyCar champ, and that battle is, well, it's fierce, y'all. Let's just put it that way. It's getting pretty darn good. Indeed. But let's get everything kicked off the right way with today's opening lap, where we will start here. Joey Logano, your Daytona 500 champ from 2015, swept the races up in Watkins Glen, New York over the weekend, winning Xfinity last Saturday and winning NASCAR's Cup race in a nail-biter for Kevin Harvick fans that ended up going to Joey Logano at the end. In NHRA drag racing, Todd, Coletta, Johnson, and McGaw collected wins in Seattle over the weekend. Big wins for them. And yes, there's also some developing news in NHRA as well. Unfortunately, Monster Jam's Dalton McMillan, son of the NHR racer, was killed in a bike crash, actually, last night. We'll have a statement from the family later on in the show. Jack Roush came out today saying that Chris Buescher is, quote, ready for a Sprint Cup Series ride. But where is it coming from? We'll discuss later on in the program. And has Casey Kane's chase hopes vanished in 2015 after Watkins Glen? We'll discuss who more than likely is in and who more than likely is out with 4 races remaining. And Watkins Glen is getting a repave. Joey Logano tore up the track after his victory on Sunday to begin their big project, repaving that entire road course in New York. And Watkins Glen officials talking about, well, are they going to modify the track, add to it, take it away? We'll have more later on in the program. NASCAR returns to Michigan this weekend, where they'll be having that new high drag package that they tried earlier this year at Indianapolis. And yes, safety innovations at the Michigan International Speedway. We'll break it down. Plus, NASCAR paid tribute to the gentle giant Buddy Baker on social media and everywhere alike, as the legendary driver and broadcaster lost his battle with cancer on Monday morning. I'm Alan Bailey from the ARN News Desk. That's your opening lap right here on Shifting Gears. See how I did that? How it timed out perfectly? I'm a professional. Mic drop. Lots of stuff going on. The thing that I want to talk about right here at the beginning, there's really no real easy way to get into this, but I want to talk about Buddy Baker, really. You look at Buddy, he was the gentle giant. He was this enormous person, very tall. He was over 6 foot tall, very large man, built like a football player or something. And he was honestly one of the nicest people that I've ever met, one of the nicest person I've ever met. I can't say enough about how gentle and how kind and soft-spoken he was. He was this large man physically, but Very, very, very gentle. So I don't think he ever harmed a fly in his entire lifetime. He lost his battle Monday morning, ultimately lost his battle with cancer. He announced last month on his radio program, his very last radio program, that he had an inoperable tumor in his lung. And it was highly emotional, his radio program, to say the very least, on Sirius XM NASCAR radio. And it was just, we knew that this would be coming. And even though we kind of had a heads up to this and that it was going to be here sooner rather than later, we are all still kind of taken aback by this, because he was so full of life and he was such an amazing, amazing person. And it truly is one of those things that just kind of takes you aback. Dale Earnhardt Jr. took to Twitter on Monday saying, quote, "Sad to hear of Buddy Baker's passing. He left a mark in and out of the car. He was loved, appreciated, and respected. Hashtag rest in peace, Buddy." He also tweeted, Dale Earnhardt Jr. tweeted that out. He also tweeted this out, a quote from Buddy Baker, quote, "Do not shed a tear. Give a smile when you say my name. I'm not saying goodbye. Just talking to you later." That was Buddy Baker on his last program, and it really was that. Michael Waltrip tweeted out, "When I think of Buddy, I smile. I'm thankful I knew this sweet, gentle man. I also him get mad a couple times, but not at me. Hashtag rest in peace, Buddy Baker." Joey Logano tweeted out, "Such a great weekend, so much fun all around, but sad to hear of the passing of Buddy Baker today. Always enjoyed talking to him." Kyle Petty tweeted out just simply, "Godspeed, Buddy Baker," and a really cool photo of him back in the day. Really, really cool to see just the outpour of people in the NASCAR community reaching out and just saying their thoughts about Buddy. And to me, Buddy Baker was, I'm an old school guy. I know the old school drivers pretty well. I know NASCAR history pretty well. And to me, Buddy Baker, I'm always going to picture him in that, that ghost car when he won the 500 in that number 28. That's been the photo's been all over the internet. You have to look it up. It's a great photo. It's a great car. Dale Earnhardt Jr. actually ran a throwback of that one a couple years back with the gray and with the black. It's just so cool. And I'm always going to remember him in that car for some reason. I don't know why. It just always stands out in my head as that's Buddy's car. And to me, I'm always going to remember him for his on-track achievements, but I'm always going to remember him on the radio. That's where I got to know Buddy a little bit better, listening to him on Sirius XM and hearing him do his nightly radio show and just talk about the sport and talk about everything that was going on in and out of the sport. A lot of people said, "Oh, he's too soft-spoken. Oh, he doesn't know what he's talking about." But Buddy Baker, although he's a soft-spoken, slow-talking kind of guy, I'm always going to remember him for his radio program and just how much knowledge he had and so much passion he had, and how he let that flow from whether it was on radio, it was television, during an interview. You could hear the passion in his voice. You could hear his smile. That's a term that is used in broadcasting. You want to be able to hear the person smile on the mic, because you actually have to smile and be happy. And you could always hear Buddy smile. You could always hear how happy and joyful his voice was, and how much he just generally loved not only the sport, but what he did. He knew after he got into an accident really bad back in the day, he knew that every day was a gift, and he enjoyed life to the fullest. And although I'm getting a little choked up right now talking about Buddy, I'm still going to smile, because you look at him and you think about him and you can't help but smile. It's just something that you do, because he is such a great soul. And I'll never forget that about him. I never will, and I'll always remember him for his on-track achievements, but the radio is what I'm always going to remember him for. And there's not much you can think and say other than that. Is, Buddy, we'll miss you very, very much, but thank you, Buddy. Thank you for an amazing career, both on the racetrack and in the broadcast booth, because truly you helped to define the sport to what it is today, and you brought an entire generation of NASCAR fans to the racetrack, and more than one or two generations, actually, Buddy. And we can only hope, all of us can only hope to live life to the fullest, just as you did. A friend and former colleague of his, Ken Squire, remembered him earlier this week.
Buddy Baker, country boy, 6'5", 240 pounds in race trim, who could fit in anywhere. Best remembered as a gentle bear of a man and a super fast stock car driver. 1970, the first stock car driver to exceed 200 miles per hour.
How about this? The speed, ladies and gentlemen, is a new world record.
That was the year he conquered the track too tough to tame, Darlington.
Buddy, a big day for you. Your father won here before. You must be happy.
Chris, I just don't know what to say. It's a young race driver's dream.
1980, driving the Gray Ghost, he won the Great American Race.
Baker is streaking around to win this race. It will be the fastest race in history.
Record still standing. 3 times he won the 600 at Charlotte, the Test Your Strength race. 19 times he came home a winner. At the outset, it was the Buck and Buddy show, father and son, with styles as different as salt and pepper. His dad, twice the national champion, was cunning, conservative, made a car last.
Buck Baker in '89 shows magnificent form, trying to take the lead.
Buddy was of the Junior Johnson school. Go to the front and stand on it until it blows up, crashes, or we get around to celebrate.
Buddy Baker is back in victory circle.
Buddy will be remembered for the Baker Marathon, marching nervous laps up and down pit road until it was time. Buck, on the other hand, just played it cool. I'll remember Buddy as a masterful storyteller, making light of himself and the dangerous game he played. 33 years after he first cinched up a seatbelt, 1959, after a life-threatening wreck, he was forced out of the cockpit and thankfully joined us in the commentary booth. He was so quick, so knowledgeable, so much fun.
Had to whip out a driver's license. I'm Dale Earnhardt Jr. Yeah, I'm George Bush.
And so full of compassion for his game. And often just plain charming.
So he went like that. I went boom, boom.
And Buddy Baker wins his first big race.
1967, after 9 years, he scored his first major win, the Charlotte National 500. In tears, Dad was on crutches there. He'd recently busted a leg in a little race incident. Buddy said, "You could have heard me all the way to Salisbury when I crossed that line." I'll always remember Buddy Baker standing there and in his own style, summing up his own special day, what it meant. "Friend," he said, "you just saw a frog turn into a prince." Rest well, our prince. Rest well.
Sick of bad race coverage or not at all from those other networks? Make ARN your one and only for all things motorsports. ARN, the Motorsports Authority.
Hey guys, it's Alan Bailey, and I wanted to tell you about when I first got started in broadcasting. Something that I tried to do was I tried to build my own website with one of these free website builders, and it was really bad. I ended up spending hours and hours working on this site, and I didn't get it the way I wanted. I hated the colors, I hated the options, I hated everything about it, but I needed a website. So reluctantly, I launched the website, and it wasn't good. I didn't get any business or any traction from it. The website was horrible. In order to put a .com on there, I had to pay all these huge fees and all these hidden fees. Once I got past all the fees, it would have been thousands and thousands of dollars for just a very simple website. So I ended up taking it offline. Fast forward years later, I called Apollo Aesthetics. When I was getting ready to build my personal website, I decided to heck with it. I'll spend the money. And I didn't care how much it was, anticipating spending thousands and thousands of dollars. And then, when I got the quote from Apollo Aesthetics, boy was I shocked, because the price was super, super low. Monthly payments with a low down payment. I gotta tell you, I've had such a pleasant experience. I'm not building any other websites. I've learned my lesson. I'm going straight to Apollo Aesthetics so they can build it right and they can do everything that I need. Whether you're looking to build a website, design a logo, figure out your hosting, your emails, and social media accounts, Apollo Aesthetics can help you with all of these, including building a shop for you to sell your product online. Log on to apolloaesthetics.com to request a quote. That's apolloaesthetics.com.
Dwayne Johnson here. The earthquakes you see in movies are one thing, but real life is a completely different animal. Just because you can't predict an earthquake doesn't mean that you can't prepare for one. In the event of a real earthquake, you should drop, cover, and hold on. Visit ready.gov/earthquake and practice what to do to keep you and your family safe in the event of a real earthquake. And you'll be seen as a hero by your family and your loved ones.
Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council. Shifting Gears on ARN is powered by Stash Feed. Get the feed. Log on to stashfeed.com to see what you've been missing and get the feed. You're shifting gears on ARN. Here's Alan Bailey.
The phone number is 720-600-RACE. That is 720-600-7223. Standard messaging and data rates apply. Also, the Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at the Alan Bailey, hashtag ARN Race is the best way to get involved with the program, like this one from Babs21. Alan, my favorite part about Buddy, extremely humble. No kidding. Buddy Baker, you know, we lost him on Monday to cancer, inoperable cancer, and you know, he was 74, an amazing, amazing human being, and that's the thing that just blew me away, was he never tooted his own horn. He had such an amazing record on the track that he could have gone around and he could have, you know, walked around with his Daytona 500 ring. He could have done all these things to just kind of show off and gloat, if you will, and he never did. He never once did. And that's something that I'm always going to remember about him. And it's just amazing, amazing human being. And I'm smiling right now because I'm thinking of Buddy and I'm thinking about just all the good things he did to this sport, and that's what he wanted. He wanted you to think of Buddy Baker and smile. Don't get sad. You can get a little choked up right now. That's perfectly okay. But don't be sad. Be happy, because we got to enjoy him for that long in our lives, and that's what's really, truly cool. Now, I want to shift gears here a little bit, talk some Supercross here, because a big question mark for 2016 is where will Chad Reed end up? Last month, he announced that he's closing 22 Motorsports, and the big question is, where's he going to end up? Now, normally, Chad would go racing for Team Australia in the Motocross of Nations in France, and this last week they announced the team, which consists of Todd Waters, Dean Ferris, and Jay Wilson. No Chad Reed on that list. Very interesting. Chad actually took to Twitter and explained why. He said he's focused on, basically that he's focused on 2016 and getting ready. That's a very wise move. I mean, there's nothing like representing your country. Just something about putting a flag on your back that's your country's flag and representing them is just so cool, and it's so empowering. It's very, very, very cool. But if you're Chad Reed and you don't have a ride at this point for 2016 and you have to think about supporting your family, you got to find a ride. You not only have to find a ride, you have to find a competitive ride, and you have to make sure that you're capable of, you know, riding that bike onto a podium at some point in 2016. I'm not saying Chad's not ready to do that, but the fact of the matter is he's another year older. He's looking closer to retirement, and realistically, if he doesn't find something here, we could have seen the last that we will see of Chad Reed on the track, which is kind of bizarre and scary to say it out loud even. So I don't know, Chad focusing on looking for a ride in 2016 is absolutely what he needs to do. He needs to get his personal bike out there, ride on his personal test track, and get his body ready. He has to hit the gym. He has to work on everything. And he has to get with a team soon, because you want time to work with your team. You can't just go down to Anaheim and hop on that thing and go. You need some time to do some test runs. You need to actually get your communication skills down with your crew. This is a process. You can't just show up in Anaheim and expect, yeah, I've got a really fast bike, and I'm really good, so I'm Chad Reed, so, yeah, I'm gonna win out here. No. That is not the mentality that Chad Reed had, nor is it the mentality that any rider should have going into Anaheim. You have to go into Anaheim with months and months and months of prep under your belts, ready to go. And the fact of the matter is, by the time you get on that bike for the very first practice session of 2016 in Anaheim, you have to have logged hours and hours and hours of bike time for 2016 before you even get on the track in 16. That's how it works. Period. You cannot tell me otherwise. You can't convince me otherwise. Because the guy who ends up winning in Anaheim every single year is the guy who starts prep work in September, in October, and really heads down to Anaheim with the best bike and is in the physically best condition that they can physically be in. And Chad Reed is not there at the moment, I don't believe. He's got to get in a little bit of better shape. He's got to get with this new team, whoever this new team is, and actually go and actually work with them and actually work on communication and everything else under the sun. And right now, I definitely don't see that out of Chad Reed. There's potential there. It's Chad flippin' Reed, man. I mean, come on. He's a champion. He's the guy who's going to really, at some point, contend again. But you got to think, are his best years behind him at this point? At the Alan Bailey, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Also use the hashtag ARNRace. Let me know what you think. Is Chad Reed done? Is he done? It's kind of a scary thought. Should he retire? Should he focus on family? Question mark. Also, the phone number 720-600-RACE. That is 720-600-7223. And standard messaging and data rates do apply on that. Okay, I want to shift gears here yet again, because I want to talk about this one in IndyCar. IndyCar is returning to Road America in 2016. Now, you look at Road America, it was acclaimed by drivers and revered by fans when it hosted IndyCar racing from 82 to 2007, and it's back on the schedule for 2016 Verizon IndyCar. Now, they set the date June 24th to the 26th on that 14-turn, 4-mile circuit, Road America. You look at Road America, if you've never heard of the track, first off, you need to wake up. Second off, it was established in 1955, and you've had some of the great IndyCar races held there, and some of the greatest drivers have raced there. Mario Andretti, Michael Andretti, Emerson Fittipaldi have each won 3 times at Road America. Jacques Villeneuve and Paul Tracy are 2-time winners on that high-speed course. And it's this really amazing track out in Wisconsin. And to have it back on the schedule is just so darn cool. There's nothing cooler than that, I don't think. I think that this is probably the biggest story to come out of IndyCar in 2015 so far, other than this amazing point battle, and other than the fact that you had Graham Rahal win again, and other than the fact that you have Juan Pablo Montoya contending for his championship, and other than the fact that you have Graham Rahal contending for the championship with him, and other than the fact you had that MAV TV 500 debacle at the Auto Club Speedway, and other than the fact that you had a Wreckfest earlier this season at most of the road courses, but this is one of them, one of the big stories. But you look at it, it is a big event. There's 10 current drivers who have raced on the circuit, with Sebastian Bourdais winning the last IndyCar race there under the Champ Car sanction back in 2007. And it's going to be really cool, because you're going to have the rookies going there, some of them for the first time, and they're going to have a heck of a learning curve. The veterans who have raced there before since pre-2007, rather, it's kind of like going back to an old friend. You know, it's always been there. It's a great little racetrack, and you just got to keep on keeping on and get the car dialed in. It's business as usual. The track kind of sort of has changed in some aspects, but it hasn't in a lot of aspects as well. So it's going to be interesting. The fact that NASCAR Xfinity cars and tires race on there, and that you have so many different racing series that race on that track, has definitely changed the surface of that track over the years, since IndyCar since Champ Car raced there in 2007. So it's not so much business as usual. It's just more or less keep on keeping on. You just got to pick up kind of sort of where you left off, but you also have to remember that it's not really business as usual, because you do have to ultimately get back onto that track, and you ultimately have to keep going. There's no such thing as, well, let's just see, what we have here, and then we'll keep going from there. No. You have to ultimately get back onto that track, and you have to put in some serious practice laps on that track. Yes, the older drivers are going to have less of a learning curve, but it's still going to be interesting to see what that track can do, rather, for the series. But it's also going to be interesting to see, ultimately, what happens to that track over the course of an IndyCar weekend. That's going to be extraordinarily interesting, and we'll talk about the title, the hunt here. If you had to put your money on it, Juan Pablo Montoya or Graham Rahal. And Dixon's there, granted, but he's a little bit farther back, and I don't know, of those three, who would you put your money on? At the Alan Bailey, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You can also use the hashtag ARNRace to get it in on this conversation as well. I want to hear from you. I want to know what you guys have to say about this one, because it's kind of, I'm leaning one way, but I also want to lean another way. It's an interesting topic of discussion, let's just say. And speaking of an interesting topic of discussion, wow. Did last weekend at the Glen get a little crazy, or was it just me, huh? I mean, seriously, there's only one thing that we can do, and that's simply take you into the headsets of these guys and get you a sense of what it was like racing at the Glen this last weekend.
A crowd estimated at over 135,000 have packed in here. Watkins Glen International.
Good luck in there to everyone. We'll do the same thing we did yesterday. Keep our heads in the game. Be there at the end.
Green flag in the air. We're road course racing at the Glen.
Jimmy Johnson, he missed the interlude.
He missed the entrance to the bus stop. Make sure you come to a complete stop there.
If he does not come to a complete stop, there's a penalty.
Clear. Did you wheel hop or lock anything up? No, sir. Just didn't want to clean up the 88s. Major brake issues. All I can tell you is they have pressure, and then as they heat up as I'm on the brakes, they just start to go to the floor. Spit here. Spit. Right now the pedal is going to the floor slowly as I put pressure on it. It's really bad right now.
They're going to black flag the 11.
Force just creamed into the 38. Hood's probably going to come off. Watch this 11. His hood's blown up over his windshield.
He's able to continue on because he can see through the flap in the hood.
Dude, Denny's driving the heck out of that thing with the hood up.
We are at the halfway point. Brad Keselowski in front of the field at Watkins Glen.
I'm not super safe in here. I don't know if you need me to super save. You're okay. 1 to 10, how have you been doing on your fuel here under yellow? Probably like 8 or 9.
We all talk about strategy here at Watkins Glen. These guys are going to be shifting early, lifting early, doing everything they can do to stretch that fuel window.
Get ready. Green.
We're back to racing.
They're right there. Second.
They bottle up behind one of Jamie McMurray.
Caution. Got a whole moho cooler.
Heavy damage on Casey Kane in the 5. New chase contenders trouble on this restart.
Destroying all the water and oils everywhere. To the garage.
Unfortunate issues for the 47 and A.J. Allmendinger.
That car's just died. What do you got? Not starting? Well, there's no power in the car. Oh, your switch didn't actually get a switch or nothing. All right, just troubleshooting here. Yes, there's nothing. I've shut everything off. Nothing. Can we have something not break for once?
The 48 is sideways as well.
We got a caution. The 11 dummy.
Was it the 11? Did the 11 turn it?
The 11 dumped him. Please let the spotter know that the favor will be coming their way. Tell the 48 I apologize.
4. I'll let everyone know.
He just came down to apologize. The driver said he was sorry. the apologies. Blocks and runs me all over the track for 3 laps. Then I pass him. Then he runs me over. And, oh, I'm sorry. Tell him to quote me. That's a good one.
I just got a message relayed to me, but I'm not relaying it.
I think I got it.
Kevin Harvick has a 6/10 of a second lead.
Us in the 22 are on the same fuel strategy. Everybody in front of them is definitely short of the stay green.
I think they've been trying to save fuel this entire time. I just don't know if you can save that much fuel. They were banking on cautions.
4 to go. Do the best you can and save in here.
Logano all over the back bumper of the Ford.
Keep pressuring him. He's not going to make it. 2 tenths faster than him.
The white flag in the air. Kevin Harvick, he needs 2.5 miles of fuel to get all the way back around.
Running out. Big. Nice and smooth. He's out. Nice and smooth.
He runs out of fuel. Here comes the 22. Joey Logano racing him as they come out of 7. Logano's going to win at the Glen.
Great job, man. Way further than I thought it was going to.
Keep her smoking to the line at least. Burning it down for real.
Take ARN anywhere. Download your favorite ARN programs on iTunes. Keyword search ARN and listen online at arnrace.com.
Hey guys, it's Alan Bailey, and I wanted to tell you about when I first got started in broadcasting. Something that I tried to do was I tried to build my own website with one of these free website builders, and it was really bad. I ended up spending hours and hours working on this site, and I didn't get it the way I wanted. I hated the colors, I hated the options, I hated everything about it, but I needed a website. So reluctantly, I launched the website, and it wasn't good. I didn't get any business or any traction from it. The website was horrible. In order to put a .com on there, I had to pay all these huge fees and all these hidden fees. Once I got past all the fees, it would have been thousands and thousands of dollars for just a very simple website. So I ended up taking it offline. Fast forward years later, I called Apollo Aesthetics. When I was getting ready to build my personal website, I decided to heck with it. I'll spend the money. And I didn't care how much it was, anticipating spending thousands and thousands of dollars. And then, when I got the quote from Apollo Aesthetics, boy was I shocked, because the price was super, super low. Monthly payments with a low down payment. I gotta tell you, I've had such a pleasant experience. I'm not building any other websites. I've learned my lesson. I'm going straight to Apollo Aesthetics so they can build it right and they can do everything that I need. Whether you're looking to build a website, design a logo, figure out your hosting, your emails, and social media accounts, Apollo Aesthetics can help you with all of these, including building a shop for you to sell your product online. Log on to apolloaesthetics.com to request a quote. That's apolloaesthetics.com.
Only in the forest can you see this. And this. And this. But nothing beats the moment you see that.
Cool!
That's your child's eyes opening up to a world of possibilities.
I didn't know it could do that!
Because one trip to the forest can spark a world of difference.
There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org. Learn about forests near you and discover cool things to do when you go, like hiking, canoeing, fishing, or camping. Or create your own adventure with family and friends, and you might just see this. Your moment's out there. Find it at discovertheforest.org. That's discovertheforest.org.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Shifting Gears on ARN is powered by Apollo Aesthetics. Log on to apolloaesthetics.com to get a quote for your new website today. You're shifting gears on ARN. Here's Alan Bailey.
NASCAR tracks are going through a bit of a change right now. There's a big safety issue, well, not even an issue, but there's a safety initiative ever since Kyle Busch crashed in Daytona back in February of this year. Most NASCAR tracks have been kind of gunning towards safety because they realized, well, we kind of suck at safety. We need to be more proactive, and unfortunately, new safety rules are written in blood more often than not, and luckily Kyle Busch more or less walked away okay, no pun intended. But you look at most tracks, and there's a heck of a safety initiative moving forward right now. NASCAR's heading to Michigan this weekend, and Michigan's no exception. It's a very high speed racetrack with a big potential for disastrous results. Track president Roger Curtis announced Monday that there's a lot of new initiatives happening out at the Michigan International Speedway. You look at it, per a track media release, quote, approximately 150 feet of temporary wall will be added to the existing pit road tri-over wall extending towards turn 4. Alternates will be placed at the end of the extension of the wall. Additionally, safety enhancements announced in April have been completed, including the addition of 700 linear feet of steel and foam reduction safer barrier to pit in and out walls, the installation of the tire pack barriers at the angled inside of turn 1, the infield exit of pit road was also paved to function as a skid pad and pace car vehicle entry and exit. Upon the conclusion of the August NASCAR weekend, installation in time for the 2016 racing season, Michigan International Speedway will again work with a construction company for the addition of 7,500 linear feet of safer barrier to the outside walls on the front stretch and back stretch, as well as pit tri-oval wall. We will continue to review the facility and provide updates as circumstances warrant, unquote. That was from the track. That was from Michigan International Speedway's PR department right there. Basically, if I take the legalese and the big words out of it, what it basically boils down to is that they've added more safer barriers all the way around, or that they're going to add more safer barriers all the way around. There's temporary tire walls up in some areas lining the existing walls that will get safer barriers, and finally a track is actually staying progressive and putting safer barriers all the way, at least beginning to put them all the way around the track. Now, the thing that tracks need to do, and I cannot stress this enough, they need to eventually put a safer barrier on every single wall, period. There should be absolutely no exception. And these tracks and NASCAR's fat TV contracts money need to put it onto the racetrack. Make the racetrack safe. You've put it into the race cars, and you've had no problem passing the cost of a safer race car onto the owners, and NASCAR's sitting back going, yeah, we're good, yeah. But let me tell you, NASCAR, you got to put it on these racetracks now. You have to actually invest some of the money that you're getting. Take it out of Brian Francis' paycheck. He doesn't need that many millions of dollars per year, per quarter even, just to sit around and come up with new ways to screw up the sport. Put it back into these tracks rather. Keep these cars safe, keep these drivers safe, and more importantly, and this is the most important thing you can do, NASCAR, keep your damn fans safe. Because when cars are getting up into these catch fences and throwing debris into the stands, which has happened 3 times in the last 3 seasons, then maybe you need to invest in safety. Come up with a new safer barrier type catch fence, maybe. And no, I don't know what the answer is. You know why? It's not my job. I'm not an engineer. I don't have billions of dollars behind me and the title NASCAR underneath my job title like you guys do. You have the money. You have the resources. It's time to actually use them and actually write a check for a change. Okay? You need to get these tracks safe. Michigan is going the extra distance, and they are actually taking care of it themselves. Is NASCAR helping them at all with this? No. I know for a fact they're not. NASCAR isn't giving them a single penny to any of these racetracks. And racetracks, frankly, are on a tight budget as it is. Because once the 1 or 2 NASCAR weekends come and go, the rest of the year, some racetracks are sit dormant, doing a whole lot of nothing. And yeah, there are some occasions where they do other races or do other events and make a little cash here or there. But the big money weekend where they have to make most of their money throughout to basically last throughout the year, it barely covers it. These tracks are on a tight budget. They can't just write millions and billions of dollars out like that. And the fact that Michigan is doing this means that they truly care about their fans and they truly care about the safety of the people in those grandstands and on the racetrack. Kudos to you, Roger Curtis, track president out at Michigan, and kudos to your staff out at Michigan, because you guys care. You guys are going the extra distance. Seriously, we need more of that in this sport. And speaking of going the extra distance, Watkins Glen is stepping it up too. They're actually repaving the racetrack. They actually started literally once the race weekend, the Cup race ended on Sunday. They had Joey Logano go out there with a backhoe and literally tear up the front stretch, start-finish line. Really, I mean, you look at it, the layout of Watkins Glen, what is it going to look like? It's going to change, really. The race layout and that the drivers and fans saw this weekend at Watkins Glen, it might be booted by next year in upstate New York. According to a report by the NASCAR Wire Service, the unused boot in Watkins Glen is nearly a mile section, actually, that is right there between turn 6 and turn 9. It might actually return to NASCAR Sprint Cup and Xfinity racing. Now, the layout that was used this last weekend is 2.5 miles, roughly. The so-called boot that will be added will extend the distance to a little under 3.5 miles, actually, and add 2 more turns for a total of 9 turns. So this is pretty awesome, actually. The boot, it had been the bumpiest part of the track, has been totally repaved, and it actually was used by the Touring United Sports Car Championship. Now, the remainder of the track is being completed. The repave immediately followed Joey Logano's win on Sunday. So, if the boot is added, Glen would still not be the longest track in NASCAR. Wisconsin's Road America, which hosts the NASCAR Xfinity Series race, is just a little over 4 miles long in length, and that's currently the longest on the track right now. So I'm excited about it. You look at Watkins Glen, that facility has really been the high-speed road course that we see, and truly it's something that is really, it's a really great racetrack. I think we need more road courses, and every time we go to a road course in NASCAR, it becomes that discussion of, when are we going to add more road courses? When are we going to see one in the chase? And NASCAR has literally been saying for 10 plus years, yeah, we're going to put one in the chase someday. Yeah, we're going to do it. Yeah, we're going to do it. Yeah, we're going to put a road course in the chase. We like the road courses we have now, and we'll figure something out. Guys, it's been 10 years. Maybe you should actually do it. Huh? Maybe. Just maybe. I mean, who knows? But NASCAR Steve O'Donnell told the NASCAR Wire Service that they're actually discussing it with Watkins Glen right now, expanding the current Watkins Glen road course, and that there's something that they're looking to do down the road, whether that's in 16, 17, 18, 22 million year, I don't know. But it's something that's on the plate, and the fact that it was so bumpy was the main reason that they didn't do it, and that's gone now, so it could happen. We'll see. It's going to be very interesting to see if that does actually come to fruition, but we'll see. And now we kind of turn our attention to the NHRA world. Dalton McMillan, the 22-year-old son of NHRA top fuel racer Clay McMillan, was tragically killed last night in a single-car motorcycle accident. The family released this statement on social media Thursday morning. Quote, "Friends, family, and fans, it's with an extremely heavy hearts that we let you know that late last night we lost our beloved son, Dalton McMilligan, age 22, in a single-car person motorcycle accident close to our hometown of Duns, Tennessee. We are heartbroken by the tragic loss to our family. We appreciate all of your love and support as we navigate through this very difficult road ahead. Funeral arrangements are pending, and we will announce those once they have been finalized. We ask for your continued love and prayer and privacy at this time. Sincerely, Clay, Donna, and Cale McMilligan." Now, Clay, he's 49 years old. He actually sits 11th right now in the NHRA Melio Top Fuel drag standings. And Dalton was one of his two sons, him and his wife Donna's sons. And coming from a racing family, Dalton had joined the racing world himself, competing in ATVs and also owning and driving the Blue Thunder car in the Monster Jam series. And I'll be honest here, I never met Dalton McMilligan. I've heard great things about him, though. Clay, I got a chance to talk to him in Pomona earlier this season. I talk to him whenever they come out here, and Clay's just a really good guy. He raised his children right, I know that for a fact, and this is a tragedy. There's no other way around it, and the wounds are fresh, and it's truly devastating. And if you really didn't get a chance to know Dalton McMilligan, really proper young gentleman from all accounts, and really it's a tragedy. It really is. But for now, all we can really do is help to support and respect the privacy of Clay, Donna, and Cale McMilligan. And our thoughts and our prayers from everybody here at the American Racing Network go out to the McMilligan family tonight, and we'll keep you in our thoughts and our prayers, and we'll continue to pray for you. And just say a prayer for Dalton. And if you didn't know who Dalton was, he was an extremely amazing young man who, like I said, raced in Monster Jam. And here's a little snippet on Dalton McMilligan.
I come from a family of motorsports enthusiasts. My dad's Clay Millican, 6-time IHRA world champion and a top fuel dragster. They're going down a straight line, and I've always learned in the dirt, but I do think that's a big advantage on my point. And my dad's always been there to help me mentally. Well, I've raced quads for 8 to 10 years, and I feel like that's going to really play well. The mental factor of doing a 20-minute moto plus 2 laps, and the show's going to be obviously way longer than that, but I definitely think it's going to give me an advantage on the quads and help me mentally in the Monster Jam trucks and the Monster Jam Speedsters as well. Whenever I'm in that truck, I'm just going to tone everything out and stomp on that loud pedal.
Sick of bad race coverage or none at all from those other networks? Make ARN your one and only for all things motorsports. ARN, the Motorsports Authority.
I wasn't prepared to be a caregiver to Mom. I had no idea how hard it would be and what I would need to know. Things I never thought of, like how to improve her mood and ways for me to stay positive. Luckily, I found the Caregiving Resource Center from AARP. It had articles about the basics, but also information about the hurdles I was facing. Caregiving Resource Center at aarp.org/caregiving. Articles, tips, and tools to help you both care for your loved one and care for yourself. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Hey guys, it's Alan Bailey, and I wanted to tell you about when I first got started in broadcasting. Something that I tried to do was I tried to build my own website with one of these free website builders, and it was really bad. I ended up spending hours and hours working on this site, and I didn't get it the way I wanted. I hated the colors, I hated the options, I hated everything about it, but I needed a website. So reluctantly, I launched the website, and it wasn't good. I didn't get any business or any traction from it. The website was horrible. In order to put a .com on there, I had to pay all these huge fees and all these hidden fees. Once I got past all the fees, it would have been thousands and thousands of dollars for just a very simple website. So I ended up taking it offline. Fast forward years later, I called Apollo Aesthetics. When I was getting ready to build my personal website, I decided to heck with it. I'll spend the money. And I didn't care how much it was, anticipating spending thousands and thousands of dollars. And then, when I got the quote from Apollo Aesthetics, boy was I shocked, because the price was super, super low. Monthly payments with a low down payment. I gotta tell you, I've had such a pleasant experience. I'm not building any other websites. I've learned my lesson. I'm going straight to Apollo Aesthetics so they can build it right and they can do everything that I need. Whether you're looking to build a website, design a logo, figure out your hosting, your emails, and social media accounts, Apollo Aesthetics can help you with all of these, including building a shop for you to sell your product online. Log on to apolloaesthetics.com to request a quote. That's apolloaesthetics.com.
Shifting Gears on ARN is powered by Apollo Aesthetics. Log on to apolloaesthetics.com to get a quote for your new website today. You're Shifting Gears on ARN. Here's Alan Bailey.
We have 4 races until the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series starts. So who's in, who's out? That's the big question mark. Ooh, big question. So right now, here are the drivers that are locked in. Jimmy Johnson, Kevin Harvick, Joey Logano, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Matt Kenseth, Kurt Busch, Brad Keselowski, Carl Edwards, Denny Hamlin, and Martin Truex Jr. Right now, if the chase were to end, here's what experts are predicting. You'd have Jamie McMurray, Kyle Busch, Paul Menard, Jeff Gordon, Clint Bowyer, and Ryan Newman in the chase. And more than likely, Kyle Busch is in. He does have the win, but he still has to finish top 30, and as long as he's basically able to maintain his top 30 position for the next 4 races, then he's good, but he could still mathematically fall out of that top 30 and stay out of it. So that's why he's not a shoo-in at this point. And I don't know, you look at it, McMurray has kind of been the little engine that could, just kind of been there in the top, handful of points right there, just right inside the top 16, right, just barely going, barely going, barely in, but ultimately still there, and he's going to get in because he's the sleeper. He's exactly what Ryan Newman was last season. Don't know if he's in, don't know if he's out, but just keep an eye on him just in case. He's the guy who's going to get in, and he might actually go all the way to the Final Four. I think that would be hysterically amazing. Of course, I thought that last weekend too, so... But you look at it right now, ultimately, it's going to be interesting. McMurray right now is 9th in the standings. You look at it, Menard is 11th right now, Gordon is 12th, Newman is 13th, Bowyer 14th, and you have Eric Almirola 16th. Eric's not going to get in. He's not. Unless he wins a race, which he's not. The only reason he got in last year is because NASCAR had pity on him and called a race really the second they could literally call it, because they wanted Eric Almirola in the 43 car to win a race on the anniversary weekend of the 43's last victory at Daytona. Very cool win for him and for the team, but NASCAR literally gave it to him. He did not earn that win. But the record books will always say Eric Almirola winner at Daytona, so good for him either way. Kasey Kahne probably isn't going to make it. He's been kind of on a downward spiral these last handful of weeks and just really not going anywhere. Just not really, just, I don't know. The consistency hasn't been there. They've just been mediocre for the better part of the season. He's had flashes of brilliance here and there, but frankly, he's been outrun by his teammates left and right and by other cars. And I don't think he's going to do it. He's in this downward spiral. He doesn't have any momentum on his side. He could get a win, but I don't see him winning a race in these next 4 weekends. I really don't. These next 4 events, I really don't. Menard, more than likely he'll make the chase, but he's not going to make round 2. He's just going to be there and then be the first to get eliminated, I think. Jeff Gordon, he's going to make it on points barely. He could get a win here, but again, like Kasey Kahne, I don't see him winning a race here. Realistically, he might have won his last race, which is a scary thought, but after the season he had last season, I'm not seeing any of that, and they are struggling with this car this season for some reason, and they, have a couple more weeks here to get it together before the chase, but ultimately his main goal is making the chase at this point in his final season, but I don't know. He'll make the chase barely, might make the second round of the chase, but don't expect him to move anywhere out of that one. That's going to be a pretty slim pickings right there. Bowyer will make the chase, I believe, but again, he won't make it to the second round. Same thing with Newman. Newman will barely make the chase. I think Newman's going to be the final driver to make the chase by literally 1 or 2 positions on the racetrack battling with Kasey Kahne. That's what I think is going to happen, based off consistency out of those 2 drivers and the history of them driving. But again, Newman's going out in the first round. He's not making it to round 2 of the chase, period. You cannot tell me otherwise. I've seen just not a whole lot of brilliance out of him this season. And yeah, last season he was the little race team that could, even though he comes from a multi-million-dollar organization. Yeah, he wasn't there, period. You cannot convince me otherwise. We'll see. Newman could pull a rabbit out of his hat in these last few races, or he could pull a Tony Stewart like Tony Stewart did a few seasons back in 2011 when Stewart barely made the chase and then won half the races in the chase and ended up winning the championship that year. But that's entirely possible. But at the same time, it's not really likely. Don't count on it, Newman Nation. Just saying, it's not really realistically feasible. I'm just saying, it's not going to happen more than likely. It's not. But Casey Kane, Eric Almirola, AJ Allmendinger, Greg Biffle, Tony Stewart, David Reagan, Trevor Bayne, Sam Warnes Jr., Kyle Larson, Austin Dillon, Casey Mears, all these other drivers, they're out. They will not make the chase. And I don't even need to say Danica Patrick's not going to make the chase. But she won't. Now, who's going to make that final round? If I had to pick right now, your final 4 drivers going into Homestead gunning for the championship: Jimmy Johnson, Kevin Harvick, Joey Logano, and one of the Busch brothers, either Kurt or Kyle. If Kyle makes the chase, he'll contend for the championship, and he probably will win it. But if he doesn't, then he won't, and he won't. Obviously, it'll be his brother Kurt. Those are those 3 drivers for sure. Johnson, Harvick, Logano. They will be in the chase. Mark my words. They will. They'll be the final 4 going into Homestead. They will. And it'll either be Kurt or Kyle Busch with that final spot going into the Homestead for the championship. Period. It's going to go down like that. Johnson has been... he was consistent earlier in the season, but in the last month or so here, he really hasn't been there. But him and Chad step it up when they get to the chase. That's their MO. They're going to do it again. Harvick has been up near the front for the entire season. Don't count him out. Logano has been consistently in the top 5 all season long, and he can still get to victory lane. He proved it at Watkins Glen this last weekend. And Kyle has been on a heck of a little bum rush here mid-season, and frankly, not only do I want to see him get into the Final 4, but I think it'd be really cool if he won the championship and missed a quarter of the season. I think that'd be a giant middle finger to NASCAR's rules about the chase and how to make the championship and everything, and I think it would be great. It would be amazing, actually. Be an amazing conversation piece. Kurt, same thing. He was banned prematurely by NASCAR for something he didn't commit that he was accused of, and NASCAR heard that he more than likely was going to be convicted. Yes, he would. And NASCAR went, "Oh, we got to ban him." And then the actual, court made the decision and said, no, he was innocent. And NASCAR kind of went, complete the road to recovery. Complete the road to recovery and you can get back in. That's what he has to do. And then Kurt mysteriously completed it in 2 days, even though it takes 2 months. Who knew that a driver could go through it that quickly? We have seen the error of our ways. We decided to let Kurt come back in. Kurt will race. It's so great. Yay! Everybody kind of went, what? What are you talking about? That was great. I want to see Kurt at least in the final through round 4 of the chase, just because of that whole debacle. That was the greatest NASCAR flop of all times. Or at least it contends for it, because every time I say that on the air, I think Brian France takes it as a personal challenge. Well, I'm Brian France, and I screw things up. My great-granddaddy and my granddaddy and my father all ran this here outfit, and I'm determined to screw it into the ground. I think I can do a pretty good job myself, but let me do it. I'm Tommy Boy. Yeah, I am. Born on 3rd, trying to steal home, but got lost along the way. Tommy boy. And with that, Brian France is going to get his cookies and go into timeout. On that note, thanks for listening, for Shifting Gears. You can download us on iTunes, also arnrace.com. Don't forget, NASCAR heading out to Michigan. Low banks, high speeds. New aero package. Stay cool out there. And for everybody here at the American Racing Network and Shifting Gears, I'm Alan Bailey. We'll see ya at the track.
You've been listening to the American Racing Network, a Turn for Media company. This is ARN, the Motorsports Authority.